Buddhi yukto jahati hai. Yukta buddhi is the way of starting out and doing a karma. If you will go to the Mahan Acharyas of Varanasi, who are actually core to their knowledge and has actually spent time to meditate and learn about spirituality, they will always say the balance is the most toughest thing in the world. And that's what Krishna says in Gita in a nutshell. Have a balanced life. Arjun, have a yukta buddhi as you pursue right and wrong, good and bad in this material world. Dexterity in doing your karma is yoga. I'll tell you something about astrology. The pioneer of astrology is Maharshi Bhrigu. He starts writing the Kundali of Rama. He says to Dasharath, this person has everything in his life, every wonderful thing. He is going to be the Raghav. He will be the Raghavendra. He will be the one who is called as the higher of all the emperors, the Ayodhyapati, the Raghupati. He will be the best in his life. Bhrigu, who is the creator of Jyotish Vidya, says to Dasharath, the father of Bhagavan Ram, everything is going to be beautiful. Lord Rama's life is a witness for all of us, how it was a struggle from the day he was born.
Welcome to the second part of our enlightening conversation with Acharya Shiva. If you missed the first part, be sure to check it out. You can find the link to the first episode here. Now let's dive back into the conversation with Acharya Shiva, where he shares more insights into living a well-balanced and harmonious life. Thank you. How can one develop their spiritual awareness?
Spiritual awareness, Vedas have a very fine approach to this. And the approach is Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. I told you about Shravana, right? Shravana means something to listen. So the Vedas say that spirituality starts with listening to it. So Shravana also means reading something and knowing. Shravana also means sitting in front of a guru, listening to his speeches. Manana means then don't have a straight conclusion. If a guru says something, don't have a straight conclusion that the guru was the right thing. Have a manana. Manana means contemplation. Contemplate on your own. See what is right and wrong. And in our Sanatana Dharma, it is called as Viveka. You must have a Vivek to find out what is right and what is wrong. Then come to Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is a synchronization of two words. So, it's very tough to compare Sanskrit with a language like English. English cannot even stand in front of Sanskrit. There are two words that come up. One is meditation and execution. So execution and meditation, they both come together. Nididhyasana means amalgamation of execution and meditation. So what Guru says, listen to it. What scriptures say, listen to it. Manan, do a contemplation. Think about it in your own way. And Manan has to be every day. As I told you, Yogaratova, Bhogaratova. Every time. Don't think about anything else. Simply think about God, the higher nature. And then Nididhyasana, meditation. Sit for meditation. Think about the words that you really learned about. And slowly just make your mind concentrated into one aspect. So Sanatana Dharma has almost 32 types of deities, different gods with all the qualities. Find out which picture actually attracts you. You like Shiva, you like Vishnu, you like Krishna, you like his nature, you like Devi. So once you like someone, read that person's life, that deity's life, that God's life. And once you start learning that, the connection, the bhakti, the devotion will rise more. If somebody is starting out, to Shravana, Manan and Nididhyasana.
When we look at selecting a guru, I assume that it works both ways. So for example, the guru also has to choose the person they are going to teach spirituality to, but the spiritual seeker will also look for an apt or a guru that they want to associate themselves with. Is this true?
So there is a saying in India which is Pani piyo chhani ke, guru banayo jani ke. Pani piyo chhani ke means always drink water after purifying it. Okay, chhani ke. And Guru banayo jani ke. Always make a guru after knowing. So making a guru is very much like seeking a life partner. You want to be with the guru, at the same time you are afraid of him. The guru attracts you. You want to listen to the guru, you want to have the wisdom, but at the same time you are afraid that you might lose everything that you carry as yourself. You got it? Everything that you consider yourself, the ego that you have for yourself. So this incident is 3 years ago, where I was following complete brahmacharya, and I never knew about it that I had this ego of being a spiritual master. I had this behind somewhere. I wanted to remove it, but I needed something from outside to let me know my place. Okay, I go to see this guru who is quite knowledgeable, quite an amazing human being. He was a sadhak of Baglamukhi. He had done all of tantric sadhanas. So I go to him and I start saying, I have learned about this. I have also learned about psychology, this and that, whatnot. And all he says, "Pehle udhar jaake chupchap baith ja. Go and sit there." Imagine how it can hurt your ego so much, right? A guru who is so rude to you. The first few sentences came in my mind. How can this person be a guru? This person has no idea how to speak to people. And all these things are running in my mind. Then I realized that this person really has a wisdom. He was sitting in front of me, speaking to me. He told me that this is what you are missing out. Start working on that. And I started crying. I could see Bhairav. I could see a presence of a supernatural human being in his eyes. And he said that you start working out on all these aspects, otherwise you will lose. You have to do many things in your life. He says, बहुत सारे तुमको काम करने हैं. ये टाइम पास नहीं चलेगा तुम्हारा. ऐसे से करना पड़ेगा, वैसे वैसे करना पड़ेगा, विवाह करना पड़ेगा. You will have to get married. You will have to move your life forward. And I'm looking at him and I'm crying. The ego which was there inside me, that I hold a lot of knowledge and this and that, it just vanished. I realized that when I really see fire in front of me, when I really confront a real fire, I realize my place where I am. It was quite a realization. So I wanted to be with the person, the Gurudev. I wanted to be with Gurudev, but I don't want to be with him. If I wanted to be with him, I knew that I have to lose something of myself. And I don't want it because I have my ego. I have my ego identification coming up, the so-called this and that, the name. So when you have that feeling with any person who is a spiritual master, spiritual teacher, realize that person might be a guru. Might be a guru. But you have to come out of it. You have to seek. You have to show longing. The God wants to see longing. So that's why they say that if the student is ready, the teacher appears. The longing has to be deep enough. If you really have the longing, if you really have a thirst to know something which is beyond your senses, a guru will manifest, surely.
Can you explain the concept of enlightenment versus spiritual awakening? Everyone in today's Western world wants to attain enlightenment, also moksha in some ways. And it's become such a big thing. So what, in your view, in short, is enlightenment versus spiritual awakening versus moksha?
We'll come back to Gita again. So, in Gita, when it was almost the end of all the debate, the Krishna almost gave the 60-70% of the wisdom of Gita. After that, Arjun says, okay, I understand about Karma Yoga, I understand about Jnana Yoga, I understand about the mind and its making. I understand that this is how the whole life is, and if I do something bad, I will be here, and if I do something good, I will be here. But how can a person apply this in his life? If somebody is enlightened, oh Lord, so the word is Sthita Pragya. Somebody who is Sthita Pragya, how does he sit? How does he walk? How does he talk? What is the nature of that being? So Krishna says, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogata atmanyo atmana tushta sthita pragyastadochyate. The English meaning that people usually write on their website is, the Supreme Lord said, O Partha, hey Parth, when one discards all the selfish desires and cravings of the senses that torment the mind, that tortures the mind, that controls the mind, and becomes satisfied in the realization of the self, such a person is transcendentally situated, which is Sthita Pragya, which is Jagrit, which is enlightenment, which is Tathagat, which is the bhav of Turiya. Jagrit, Shushupta, okay, Turiya. So Turiya Avastha, the highest place is basically किस तरह से रखा गया है? जब मनुष्य स्वार्थ युक्त कर्मों को छोड़ देता है, all the selfish desires end in that human being. The moment you see that human being, you could feel that there is a calmness, there is a peace that you cannot find anywhere else. When you have that undisputed peace inside you, when you're not craving for something, find that is the enlightenment. Easier said than done. A lot of people speak about it nicely. The West can speak about it, but there are hardly people who really know about spiritual seeking. And that's why I always say, siddhis, mastery of senses, enlightening or mastering a technique. Suppose if I want to know your mind, if I know your mind, it's not the way of knowing that I'm an enlightened human being. Not at all. Trust me. This is what is happening in India. This is what is happening everywhere. People who are actually knowing a certain part of dimension, a certain level of sensory perception, people who could read mind, people who could do some spiritual, a magic or something, are considered to be enlightenment. That's not the case. I just told you what Gita says. Sthita pragya stadochyate. That person is Sthita pragya. Rama, in his whole life, who is considered to be God, never did a single magic. Not a single magic. Ram Charitamanas, all we learn is how Ram could manage such a difficult life so calmly. On the day when he could become a king, his stepmother comes to him and says, Suno janani soi sutta badbhagi je pito matu bachan anuragi. That's what Ram says. So stepmother comes and says, I have decided, I have told your father that Bharat, who is my son, will be the leader, will be the king, and you will have 14 years of exile. Imagine a person who is preparing himself to become a king, to have the duties, and on the same day in the morning, he has been discarded through his stepmother. He has been just told to have a 14 years of exile with his wife. Think about that. And you know what Ram Sir does? He starts laughing. He starts smiling. And he dances and he says, Suno janani soi sutta badbhagi. It's my pleasure. As a son, it's my duty to adhere to your duties and see you as a motherly figure and follow. I'll surely go for this. Let me just ask my mother. From Kaikai, now he goes to his Kaushalya, the real mother. And he goes to Kaushalya and says, Ki mother, just now my mother Kaikai has told me about this. Should I do this? Now Kaushalya says, if your mother has told this, there must be something. I think you should follow it. Is there a magic? Is there some super sensory talks happening? Flying in the sky, reading someone's mind, knowing a future, telepathy? Nothing. Sometimes people who master these senses, sometimes people who become siddhas are actually struggling. They want to find out the way. But just because they have become a guru, they have become a master, their ego will not make them bow down to someone. Through siddhis, where you are sitting right now, Shruti, you can become a siddha. Through mantras, you can become powerful. You can have certain control over some biological nature of life. You can do something amazing. But that doesn't mean that you are enlightened. Nowhere does that mean. Enlightenment and siddhi is a very different thing. In front of enlightened human being, he doesn't need to do anything. Those amazing stuff, fly in the sky, do something with your mind. He doesn't need to do anything. He can just stay there and you could just feel that कि this is where you want to stay. This is where you always wanted to be. You feel like this is where when you come, you find yourself. You feel connected to yourself. You feel as if the ego that you have, the false ego that you have, that you are this, you are that, it just falls off. You have found a real guru. उस समय तुम्हें सही गुरु के बारे में पता लगेगा. Otherwise, कहानियां हैं, there are stories, talk about it throughout the day, doesn't matter. There's somebody who has achieved a certain level of biological perception, who has mastered certain technique, cannot be equivalent to this person who is an enlightened human being. Cannot be. I have met people who are living in small houses in Mumbai. Some of them who are ardent spiritual seekers, they can break this cup just looking at it. They can break this cup. And these are individuals who are working in a company. People take it as a magic, but this is not a magic. This is just a certain level of energy transformation, which has happened inside us through practice and kriya. If somebody does that, it can happen to them as well. So chasing a spiritual power is a very different thing altogether, and coming in contact with an enlightened human being, a wise human being, is a different thing.
What is the role of service in spirituality? So I'm looking at Seva here. And in that case, tell us about Bharadwaj Education Trust.
I told you just about the story in the start about Brahma, how he propounds human being, and he says that the single purpose that you can serve, you can do is do service to people.
That's right.
So dana in Shastra is a foundational thing. It's the first thing that you can do good to the world. In Sanatan Dharma, they say that if you cannot do pujas, you cannot do meditation, you cannot do a lot of sadhanas, you cannot learn about scriptures because you're not intelligent, you can simply serve and be enlightened. That's the whole idea. Bharadwaj Education Trust, the name, I am the trustee of Bharadwaj Education Trust. I was the one who actually founded it coincidentally. The name Bharadwaj comes from the planet Jupiter, Guru Brihaspati. So Jupiter in astrology is called as the Guru of all the planets. Okay? And Guru Brihaspati had a son who was Maharshi Bharadwaj. Maharshi Bharadwaj, in his clan, was born Dronacharya. Now you know Dronacharya, who was the Acharya, the teacher of all the Pandavas and even Kauravas. So I somewhere consider myself to be from the Gotra of Dronacharya, Drona Acharya. And from that I actually take the word Acharya. I think I still have to learn a lot before I could say myself that I'm a full-fledged Acharya, because spirituality is a pitiless abyss. The Sanatan Dharma is something like that. You can keep going in and you can still find out that you know nothing. You have no idea about it. That's what Brahma is. In this path, when you start getting enlightened on a little note, self-realized on a little note, I cannot see anyone as a different human being. Even though if I want to, even though if I try, I cannot find a difference between what is different in Shruti and what is different in me. What is different in those people who are walking on the road and what is different in the person who is sitting at the highest throne. What is different in a person who is helping me and what is different in a person who is not helping me. They are all the same. I just told you about Siya Rama Mai Sab Jag Jani, Karahu Pranam Jori Jugpani. The first level of realization, you feel the interconnectedness. You feel that you are connected to everyone. They are not they are you, reflecting in a different human being. The something which is inside you is actually inside them too. What is that? Who am I to call someone as someone who is good looking and someone who is ugly? Who is rich and who is poor? Is money is the way? Not really. Maybe the richness for him is a different thing, a different aspect. When you start entering into spiritual jargon, when you start doing sadhana, the realization hits you that everyone is connected. And that's why you see almost all the spiritual human beings in the world. It could be West, it could be East. The first thing that they do for the mankind, start serving. Some way or the other. It could be food seva, it could be medical help, it could be, general checkup. It could be guiding them. So that's how a person is actually refined. A human being is actually purified through helping the society. My guru always used to tell me, find out something that can make the world a better place, and earning money will be a piece of cake. Find out something that people really need. Earning money will be a piece of cake. It will be a complementary thing. It will be a part of it. You don't need to run behind money. You don't need to run behind the leisures of life. You simply focus on getting better, getting more enlightened, more self-realized, and helping people the best you can. And then wait for the time, wait for the universe to create that road, the clear road, to take you to the highest. Okay? So service as a person who is in spirituality becomes a foundational. The first realization that hits you is everything is connected, and the second realization is you have to help mankind through whichever mean. So seva is a core principle of dharma. Sanatan dharma starts with seva. If somebody is very siddha, somebody who had mastered all the senses, somebody has opened all the chakras, and he is at the topmost in his kundalini, if he is not serving, not good to the society. All the realization is vain. Maharaj Bhartari, who was the brother of Vikramaditya, Maharaj Bhartari had a wife who he was very fond of, but he was a very lusty human being. He had a lot of lust inside himself. Maharaj Bhartari was so much into loving his wife that he wanted to explore her every day, without any consent or something. And all of a sudden, there is a demise of his wife. He goes into a cave which is called as Bhartari Gufa in Ujjain. The Bhartari Gufa is still there, and a very powerful place, one of the very highest place of Tantra. And he sits for meditation. He says, until I find the answers of universe, I won't come out of it. And there you go. Maharaj Bhartari got enlightenment, who was the brother of Vikramaditya. Maharaj Bhartari belongs to the same clan where Guru Gorakhnath, Guru Matsendranath, they all belong to. That is Nath Sampradaya. You must have heard the name, the Nath Yogis. So Maharaj Bhartari belonged to the same clan. He says in Bhartari Shatakam, if you're born as a Narsimha, if you have a good physique, if you have a good body, if you have a good mind, and if you not put effort for self-realization, the whole life is a vain. And in the second stance, he says, before you start realization, seva bhav, help people. The first step, even, we were talking about how to start with. This is the way. The start of spirituality is helping people. But then you have to dig deep. Do sadhana, help. Do sadhana, help. Do sadhana, help. And then slowly, you don't need to ask too many questions then. It just comes to you. Everything comes to you.
What is consciousness and the true nature of it?
Adi Shankaracharya has a very beautiful Shatakam, which is called as Nirvana Shatakam. It is also called as Moksha Shatakam. Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham nacha shreva jibhe nacha grana netre. So this quote basically defines consciousness simply. So Vedanta says, if you want to find out what is consciousness, वह चैतन्य स्वरूप क्या है जो सबके भीतर है, और चर अचर यानी बाहर भी है अंदर भी है, something which is outside and inside too. You are a body, get rid of it. मनो बुद्धि अहंकार चित्तानि नाहम, नाहम नेति, नहीं हूं मैं, मन भी नहीं हूं मैं, बुद्धि भी नहीं हूं. Are you a mind? Not really. Are you a senses? Are you your senses? As long as you're alive, yes you are. But if you're dead, you're not. You are not your senses. Are you a male or a female? As long as you are thinking, yes you are something. As you stop thinking, you are nothing. ना मैं आंखें हूं, ना मैं होठ हूं, ना मैं नाक हूं. ये तो है इसलिए मैं हूं. Just because the body is, that's because I am. But if you get rid of all the elements, there is no body, there is no mind, there is no senses, there is no consciousness, nothing. Simply get rid of everything whatsoever. See what remains. What remains?
Awareness. Pure awareness.
Absolutely. 101%. Tell you about consciousness through a story. A very powerful story. So Raja Janak, who is considered to be the student of Ashtavakra. So Raja Janak is one day sleeping very luxuriously in his mahal, in his kingdom, and he sees a nightmare. He is a beggar, somebody who is trying to find out a food. As he is looking for a food, he gets a bread which is lying down on the ground. He runs for that bread. The moment he starts running towards the bread, a dog comes and takes the bread away. And Janak, inside a dream, which is actually a nightmare, is crying to God, why the hell did you give me this bad life? Such a life which is full of ruined sufferings and such misery and all these things. The moment he starts thinking about the misery and sufferings of life, he opens his eyes. He is simply lying down in his luxurious kingdom, and everything that he felt was actually a dream. They say Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunya Vikalpa. So Janak says, right now I had a dream which was completely real. It felt as if I am really a beggar and I was begging for death to come and take me, because I was suffering, I was facing misery. So this person, Janak, goes to his guru, Ashtavakra, and says, Gurudev, I just had a dream. In that dream, I was a beggar. I was begging for food. I was hungry. And the moment I go to take the bread, a dog takes it away. I start crying for God, take my life. Please, the death should come. And all of a sudden, my eyes open up and I realize that I am here, right now, sleeping in my kingdom. So he says to Ashtavakra, what was real? That dream which felt like real, or this life which is happening? What was the truth? What do you think?
I think it's true.
Ashtavakra says, O Janak, even the dream was not true. Even what you are doing right now is not true. There was something which was within you, was seeing both the situation. That is the truth. That is the drashta. That is the soul. That is the consciousness. The truth was inside you. The truth was inside you, experiencing the dream and also experiencing the life happening. So mano buddhi ahankar chittaninam chidananda rupah shivoham shivoham chidananda rupah shivoham shivoham chidananda rupa. That means I am sat chit anand. I am the bliss. I am the happiness. I am the one who is Shiva. I am the consciousness. I am the supreme consciousness. Shivoham shivoham. Aham मैं शिव हूं. That's the thing.
So there are 4 states of consciousness in yogic philosophy. So we've discussed this, and it forms a part of the Om symbol. There's a waking state, there is the dream state, there is a deep sleep state, and there is Turiya, the silence that forms after you chant Om. What is the significance of these 4 states of consciousness?
So Jagrit, Shwapna, Shushupti, Turiya. Jagrit is the avastha which is happening right now, as we are. Okay, Jagrit, the waking state. Okay, but Jagrit has a 2 word. Jagrit is also used for a wise human being, for an enlightened human being, self-realized one, and Jagrit is also used for a waking state, someone who is awake in his consciousness inside. Shwapna. Shwapna means now your body enters from gross to subtle, something that you can feel but doesn't have any substance of its own. So for Shwapna, Patanjali says, Shabda Jnananupati Vastu Shunya Vikalpa, an experience which has no object of its own. Can I show you my Swapna?
That's dream state, right? So that is when you have dreams in a certain way. So you're not completely asleep.
Yeah. So Jagrit, right now, the waking state. Shwapna, as I said, the second phase. Shwapna, that is the dream state. Shushupti. Now Sushupti is basically, it is not the state of waking where you are alive, experiencing the world. Shwapna, not even a state of dreaming something, but in a state of Sushupti, that is a deep sleep. So when you are sleeping in your life, in those times where you are bereft of the thought of body, that is Sushupti. Now what is Turiya? If you will go to see in Jagrit, Swapna and Sushupti, these 3 states are happening every day simultaneously. When you go beyond these 3 states, that is Turiya.
How does somebody get from these 3 states? And I know you're probably going to say meditation and But how does somebody actually get from these three states and know that they've achieved Turiya? Is that enlightenment phase that we're talking about?
In a way, yes. Yes, in a way it is, because now Patanjali says in his sutra, when he comes to meditation, he says, Tata pratishedartha ekam tattva abhyasam. Patanjali says, you might talk about a lot of philosophy, you might talk about scriptures, but then when you want to hit to the truth, when you want to really concentrate on that being, the supreme being, you have to come to a state of eka tattva abhyasa, that singular state of consciousness, and that is pure concentration, pure state of awareness. Now there are two ways of doing it. Coming to a state of turiya has two ways. One is you rather deny everything. You're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the senses, you're not the air, you're not the fire, you're not the water, you don't exist, you don't have any existence, you are just there. Pure state of awareness. You can go beyond the state of consciousness and you can hit Turiya. And this can happen sometimes. So I always say this, meditation is more of a consequence. Meditation is not something that you try to do. You basically try to concentrate. So concentration is something that is tried. Meditation is something that happens. Meditation is not the feel-good meditation that we see on the applications and 5 minutes breathing in and out. No way. Individual consciousness coming in contact with the universal consciousness through deep state of concentration. Tatra pratyeka ekatanata dhyanam. Patanjali says, to meditate, the concentration has to be like oil poured inside a bucket. Have you seen oil? So when oil is poured from one utensil to other, the flow is constant. It feels like it's a gross thing, it's a stable thing, but it's not stationary, right? It's flowing, but you might feel like the volume is exactly the same. Not everything is like a oil. So the concentration has to become like a oil poured from one bucket to the other bucket. A supreme, a lucid state of concentration, poured like an oil from one utensil to the other. So your concentration on God has to be eka tattva. That's it. That is the element that exists. Beyond that, nothing. All the rationalization, all the philosophy, all the mantras, it just falls apart. That is the state of Turiya. And now, even Turiya is a simultaneous consciousness thing. It can happen, but only if to the people who are spiritual seekers, people who are actually practicing spirituality. It cannot happen to everyone. Nahi sannyasasta sankalpa yogir bhavati. That's why I always say this. See, a lot of people can fool around and say, I practice spirituality, I consider environment as a god, I consider music as God, I consider dancing as God. Keep talking about whatever you want to. The supreme state of consciousness has to be reached through ekam tattva abhyasam, tat pratishedartha, without a single notice, period. If you cannot make your concentration lucid enough, if you cannot hit the state of turiya more often, stop talking about meditation and concentration. And so that single state of consciousness, turiya, can be hit upon only through the person who is practicing meditation every day. So as that experience goes further, as your practice goes further, slowly, if I meditate right now with you for 5 minutes, I'm just cleaning that 0.001 decimal part of my consciousness. Then I meditate tomorrow, 0.002. Day after tomorrow, 0.003. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is how you basically cultivate enlightenment. So enlightenment is not something that God comes in front of you and you are enlightened. Enlightenment is cultivation, something that you cultivate through everyday practice. As your meditation, as your practice goes deep, as your mantra jap, as your sadhana becomes deep, every day you become deeper in your realization. And one day you come to a state where there is no more rising.
Okay, so now when we look at the third state of consciousness, which is known as deep sleep state, that is known as the pure consciousness. It is almost like the Turiya state, but you're just not there. And at that state, you feel absolutely nothing. You don't have any dreams. You don't have anything. So why, in a sense, is that? If that is that pure awareness, then why is there nothing at the end of it? So is Turiya just basically nothing? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
So in Yogasar Upanishad, okay, which is also taken from some lessons of Yogasar Upanishad is taken from
Yes.
the Mahanirvana Tantra, which is a debate between Shiva and Parvati. So Parvati is learning the higher state of consciousness through Shiva, okay, and now Shiva mentions ki the very fact why deep sleep is not the state of pure consciousness is because in that deep sleep state you are bereft of object, you are bereft of body, you are bereft of senses, and then when you come back to the square sense again. Got it? The state of pure consciousness, once hit, stays hit on the nail. Okay, it can never come back. The pure state of consciousness is like becoming a ghee. It's becoming like a butter. Once a milk becomes a butter, it cannot become milk again. You got it? So anything that gives you again the bhautikvad, anything that gives you back the senses, back to the normal state of consciousness, is not a state of turiya. Is a sushupti state. So sushupti is basically a state which is not pure consciousness, is because there you are bereft of everything. So in turiya, you are bereft of everything but not the awareness. You exist, you feel, but you are beyond everything. You are inside the body, but you are still beyond it. How a sadhak has to stay in a material world. So a ship which is gigantic can carry all the boats together. All the boats together. Okay? But does that mean a boat cannot have a journey of its own? It can still have it. It can still have it. The benefit of having a sheep is every boat in the speed of ship can pass through one place to the other, can go to one place to the other exactly at the same time. But when the boat goes alone, the journey might be tough, might be difficult. So the pure state of consciousness is like a ship that can carry all the elements, all the flaws, all the bodily karmas, all the sanskaras together at an equal speed. You can stay with it, but that doesn't mean that the everyday practice without a guru trying to attain a higher state of consciousness cannot change. It can still change. So the pure state of consciousness is in the boat also, and also in the sheep. It is just that when it is in the sheep, it's walking with all the karmas, all the boats together with an equal speed. But when it is inside a boat, it is going slowly, taking its own baby steps. Got it? So pure consciousness is everywhere. It is just that something that can be taken on its own, walked every day, learn about turiya, learn about getting into that nothing state of consciousness, and see what remains behind. So as I told you, Vedic rishis always say this: Ano Bhadra Kratavo. Ano Bhadra Kratavo means take the wisdom from everywhere, see what comes out of it. So what they actually mean, your spiritual realization, Shruti, will be different than what I realize. Because the Prakriti is Triguna. Okay? Everyone has their own temptations. Everyone has their own nature. You will experience truth according to your consciousness. Valmiki could see Ram, Tulsi Baba could see Hanuman, Moses could see Yahweh, okay, and I could experience Mother Gayatri. The names were different, state of Turiya, pure consciousness, but every person experienced it according to their conditioning, their nature of life. Okay? So ultimately, pure consciousness is beyond deep sleep, because deep sleep is where you are bereft of everything. But in state of Turiya, you are bereft of everything but not the awareness. Yeah.
Got it. Now, you mentioned that to reach the stage of Turiya, you need to meditate consistently. So, I have a lot of people who say to me that, oh, I can't meditate properly because I'm constantly thinking. So, can you actually enlighten these people and tell them actually what then meditation is and how to do it correctly? Because, in my view, you can't stop the brain from functioning. The brain is there to think. It's just that you got to slow those thoughts down. And that is what meditation helps you do. And as you gradually practice meditation, what tends to happen is your thoughts do slow down. And at some stage, they start to become less and less, which then gives you the clarity, but also gives you the knowledge that you see the joy and the bliss in those gaps. That is something I feel I've experienced. I don't know whether that is true or not. And this is what I experienced.
I told you about Vedanta, where Vedas say ki you should Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasana. The injunctions of the scriptures has to come in line with the practice. Also, the intentions of the mind has to be pure enough. My intentions of meditation is what? If you want to really hit the truth, if you want to really experience that higher state of consciousness, Ashtavakra says, the one who experiences that state of consciousness, the ego of touching that state of consciousness also falls off. Once you go to that state, the identification that I got to that state also falls off. So the state of realization, when you are starting a journey, always remember what you are thinking 24 hours is extremely important. That's why I told you gurus used to make them learn scriptures and build kutuhal. What do we call as curiosity? Nature of life. Experience the nature of life. Why do I think about this? Why this thing happened like that? Why am I feeling the anger? Why am I having the attachment? I told you about the story, right? When I was attached to the particular human being, I used to feel all the animosity inside me, the temptations inside me, the sensuality inside me. And I realized I need to work upon this thing. Who is willing to put the effort to change themselves from that quantum part? If you are ready for it, if people want to change themselves from that quantum part, only then the enlightenment can be achieved. Then the path can be clear for you. Because unless your mind and the hopings and the jumpings, it can only be stopped when you are out of it completely. That's why in sadhana path, they say, all the scriptures start with Atha Brahma Jigyasa, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. What do you mean by Atha? Atha means in English, now. So the rishis, they are actually teasing us. What they are saying is, you have done all the things, you got backstabbed, you got hit on the nail, the Maya got you into all sorts of sufferings, and now the state of consciousness, and now Brahma Jigyasa, and now Yoga Anushasanam. So the hopings of mind cannot be stopped. Absolutely correct. That's why Krishna says, Asanshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasenu tu Kaunteya Vairagyana cha Grihate. As I told you, execution and the scriptures has to go hand in hand. Krishna says, Asanshayam Mahabaho, without a doubt, Arjun, Mano durnigraham chalam. Stopping the mind is like in stopping the elephant. Way difficult than stopping the elephant. असंचय महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहम चलम अभ्यासेन तो कौन्तेय वैराग्य निच ग्रहते. But Arjun, Kaunteya, with abhyasa, that is study, meditation, self-study, reading scriptures, and vairagya, detachment, the state of consciousness can come. The higher state can be achieved. All he says is abhyasa and vairagya. So detachment has to be followed in simultaneous principle of meditation also. Why detachment? Simple meaning is there. Without vairagya, without detachment, there is no enlightenment happening. There is no meditation happening. That's why you see in sannyasa, everything has to be left out. People let go of things, the material life, the chase, all the pursuit, all the accolades, all the achievements has to be fall off. Why? There is a psychological reason behind it. I'll keep it very short. So the philosophy of detachment is, the lesser the faculties of mind working for different aspect of life, the higher will be the power to one particular thought when it is running. You got it what I'm trying to say? When you are detached from all the pursuits, achievements, relationship, money, life, house, the vibration to that one particular thought when it is running is the highest. Because all the mental faculties were working, some thoughts were working for money, some thoughts were working for relationships, some thoughts were working about house. Now all the thoughts are over and all the faculties of mind are working for that spiritual truth. And that's why gurus used to say, attain vairagya and practice sadhana. That is swadhyaya, self-study. Swa-adhyay, swa, self, adhyay, study, meditation.
Is there a correct way to meditate then? Or is that the correct interpretation? As you meditate, you begin to lose your thoughts, or they become less. You don't lose your thoughts in essence. And as they become less, you attain bliss and joy and clarity as well.
Well, Shruti, I'll break you here. The thoughts never become less. You stop getting identified with them. Okay? So thoughts never get less. They are as they are. They keep running around. But you stop getting identified with your mind. Neeb Karoli Baba used to put it like, whenever thought comes, do not act upon it. Let it come and go. So that's the only way. Slowly, that is abhyasa. As you walk further, other realities start hitting you automatically. The answers start coming.
I'd like to thank you so much for the time you've given me today. I appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm sure the audience will learn a lot from you from this podcast interview that we've done as well. It's been amazing. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy what we're sharing with them today.
Thank you so much, Shruti. I think you were kind enough to listen to my, the whole talk and something that I was explaining. The listener has to be engrossed enough to listen to a speaker. The speaker's power comes from a listener. Ek guru ki shakti, a teacher's power comes from a student. The more curious the student, the more powerful the teacher becomes. Because the curious student is also reflecting someone. Like if I came, we met, that means there is a reason why God made us meet, right? Maybe He wants to get some spiritual lessons exchanged. Got it? Right now in this entire thing, what I learned from you is you were amazing when you were listening to me. You were very curious, and throughout the 2 hours, the way you were listening to me, there are Zen stories where people have become enlightened only through listening.
I really enjoy listening, so I'm so happy that we got in touch and that you were able to share this. The most fascinating thing is you share the same birthday as my mother does, so that was a very interesting learning.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing. So she is basically a 13 Gen person.
That's right.
How is she?
Capricorn.
You have a good connection with your mom?
Of course.
Oh my God. Wow. Amazing. So I've always heard you attached to her too much. Is that the case?
I've learned the way to just be. So no attachment, no detachment. I am just at that stage of being. So I don't have any attachment to anything, and nor do I have any detachment to anything. And I'm happy about that. I don't know whether that's a good thing or that's a bad thing. I don't know.
That's a nice thing. That's a nice thing. Yeah.
But if at a drop of a heartbeat, I will be there for her. And she knows that.
Wow. And that's your connection. That's your affection for her. That's amazing. It is one of the part of a very good lesson where in Ramayana the authority is explaining us about love and affection. So when Sita Ma and Bhagavan Ram, when they were walking to find a place in the exile just to stay, making sure all the living animals should not get hurt, should not have any effect because of us. Mother was walking behind, and they say that as she was always inside a mahal, she was a Rani, she was an empress. She never walked on a barefoot on a normal land, even in all the climates. So mother used to always say, Swami, have we reached to the place? Have we reached to the place? क्या हम कुटिया पहुंच गए हैं? क्या हम पहुंच गए हैं? Swami, कुटिया पहुंच गए हैं? What they wanted to teach is, look at how beautifully she was waiting. Never did she raise her voice. Ki Swami, what the hell? You made my life. Why the hell did you took an exile? What was the reason? Why moral principles? Why were you kind? Hit your mother. Hit the Kaikai, and go and take your throne. This is you. This is your throne. But all she does is, स्वामी कुटिया पहुंच गए, स्वामी कुटिया पहुंच गए, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. जहां रहने बोला वहां स्वामी के साथ रह लिया. I think this is what you are explaining to me. The mother Sita was not attached to Rama. She was not detached even. All she had was love, the affection. कि जैसा भगवान रखना चाहते हैं, I will stay the way the God wants me to be. I think that's what your connection is with your mom, which is amazing. Best wishes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. I have one last question. Why, in a sense of where you do things very purely, like with a very pure heart, but people tend to mistake it as that you have a desire to want something. Why would that even come up? So if I was helping, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, I'm helping a friend, and in that help, I've always done everything with a very pure intention. Why would individuals then go out of their way to think that you have an ulterior motive or that you're lying even? I've never understood that. Does that make sense?
What you said, it does make sense. But I'm talking about the whole scenario that happens in the world. It doesn't make sense. Why people think like that? Krishna in Gita says, Arjun, rather than doing people's work, do your work a little, even if it is a little work, a small hand. Put in time for your work rather than putting a lot of time for the other's work. All he wants to say is he's explaining a principle of Sankhya, where purest intention has to be a sadhak's heart. एक अच्छी नियत साधक का हृदय होना चाहिए. उसके हृदय में अच्छी नियत होनी चाहिए. If you start thinking about that you are helping people just to get something, it's a problematic situation. If people are thinking about it, if people are thinking and people are contemplating on this particular aspect, it's their problem. It's their thing. But when I am thinking about this, okay, suppose for an example, I do a lot of activities through Bharat Education Trust. Tomorrow, I think of serving 500 people. If I bring an afterthought, okay, after 500 people I serve, I'll take good photos. I'll send these photos to Mr. Nishit Shah, okay, some XNXT person who is a multi-billionaire. Okay, I'll tell him to apply for some CSR, which comes from a corporate company, and give us at least 30 lakh, 40 lakh fund annually. You got it? That's not the purest intention. But if Shruti sees me and Shruti says, Shiv is very cunning. Shiv wants to sell himself to that multi-billionaire human being for that CSR of 40 lakh annually. And he wants to get his trust going. Should I think about that? Or should I just focus on serving 500 people? Why would I even have concern with what the other person or Shruti is thinking if I do that? My intention, Shruti, as I said, if I am doing something, my intention has to be pure. If I am not feeling that my intentions are pure, then there is a problem. Then the karma will hit you. I told you, buddhi yukta jahati hai. Yukta buddhi. You're not thinking about profit, you're not thinking about loss as well. You have no intentions further, and you have no intentions backward also. You're just doing it for the sake of it. You enjoy it. You want to help people, that's it. And when the intentions are there, forget about the world.
Can you leave us with the message you had on Instagram about where you said that you met a sadhu 3 years ago and you asked him about the worst thing that you could do to a person. Can you tell us all about that? It was one of my favorite things that I heard on your Instagram. I've actually saved it, but I want the world to hear it.
Gurudev, highest tapasya kya hai? Sabse ऊंची tapasya kya hai? What is that highest austerity that I can perform? So he says, सबसे ऊंचा है तपस्या, किसी को दुख मत दो. Don't hurt someone. And it was like a sudden realization. He just told it, as it is. Like he was hesitant to listen to me. He was as if he was not even looking at me. When I said कि सबसे बड़ी तपस्या क्या है, as if he was already bored with a lot of questions. So he was like कि किसी को दुख मत दो, ये सबसे बड़ी तपस्या है. So that's what his gesture was. And it was a deep thing. And then I said ki, which is the most amazing thing, the most high, paropkar. In Hindi, I actually told him ki, Gurudev, paropkar kya hai? I just told him ki, what is paropkar? That means in English, what is the highest thing I can do in the world? So he says कि किसी का दिल जीतना. Winning someone's heart is the highest thing you can do in this world. Okay? So it could be an individual, it could be people, it could be a community, it could be a lot of people together. So third thing I said कि सबसे घटिया काम क्या कर सकता हूँ? सबसे घटिया काम क्या है? What is the most heinous thing I can do to the human beings? So he says कि किसी को कहना तुम मुझसे प्रेम करते हो और फिर चले जाना. Telling someone that you love them and you don't stay and you walk away from their life. It is the most heinous thing. बहुत बड़े पाप का काम है. So this was the entire wisdom that we were talking about. So in a nutshell, the most beautiful thing you can do is winning someone's heart. Most highest penance or austerity you can do is not hurting someone. And the most heinous thing, the most horrible thing you can do is you can say someone that you love them and don't stay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy Janmashtami. It was a great time.